What is up, people? My name is Shoquafina, and I'm the coach of your Lake Huron Lanturns here in Week 8 of the National Battle Association. This week we take on Beelzebuddy and his undefeated Indianapolis Cobalions. If you guys are excited for this battle, maybe a little bit nervous like I am, please leave a like down below, as well as subscribe and follow me on Twitter if you haven't already to be notified when I post videos in the future. Now, looking at our team and looking at his, I'm very afraid. By the way, if you don't know what we're bringing, there should be a link down to the team builder in the description, so go ahead and check that out. It explains a few things that I regret. It also explains a few things that I don't regret because it actually worked out in this match. So his team, obviously I see he has one Stealth Rocker in the Heatran, and I assume that's what he's going to lead with. He has two possible Defoggers, and that's what I noticed from before or even seeing team preview, just when I was team building. He only has two possible Defoggers. That's the Salamenced and the Scizor. I am 110% sure that the Scizor is his Defogger this week. Salamenced is too great of an offensive threat against my team in order for that to be the case there, so that's exactly what I'm predicting that to happen. We see he only brought one of his Regenerator Core. He doesn't have the Slow King this week. He has the Tangrowth, which is fine. I have things to deal with the Tangrowth. And, of course, his Mega Audino is very annoying as well. So, let's just jump right into this. I suspected his Heatran lead, so I went out into my Chandelure, which hard walls his Heatran. He can't do anything to me. So I just reveal the Hidden Power Ground right here, and I have to switch out because I'm not doing anything to that, and it has Surf. So Roserade takes that, no problem. He has to switch here into his Scizor as I set up a Spike, and then I have to switch into my Drapion as he goes for the U-turn and switches into his Salamenced. So a lot of switches early on here. And that's I thought that would be the case. So that's why I wanted to bring Hazard Stack. Part of the reason because he doesn't have a spinner. He only has two possible Defoggers, both of which can be high offensive threats. So if he decided to bring them both of his offensive threats, then he wouldn't have a way to remove hazards. So, and also I knew it would be a very switch heavy match, at least in the beginning. So I want to start getting up spikes. I want to start getting up T-spikes. I want to start getting my Stealth Rocks up if possible. But he goes into the Salamenced, and this thing is a problem. I suspect it to have Earthquake. I highly suspect it to have Earthquake, and because it deals with like 2/3 of my team at this point. So I go ahead and just protect here, just a scout, and I do see the Earthquake. Now I'm hoping this thing is Scarf, because if it's Scarf I can handle the Earthquake a lot better. I can force him to switch out and force some hazard stacking potential. So that's the idea. But I go ahead and switch out here into my Earthquake switch in, and he reveals he's not Scarf, he's actually D-Dance, which I can deal with. I can deal with that. It's fine. I just go for the Will-O-Wisp here as he goes for the Substitute. So he's sub D-Dance, and I don't know if I can deal with that, to be completely honest. So I have to go for the Volt Switch here as we take that Dragon Claw barely, and just to break his sub, and I gotta get out here. I gotta go into Godzilla. I gotta put up my Sand just to scare him out. Honestly, I don't know if I could take a +1 Earthquake. I'm not defensive. I'm Specs. I'm offensive. So I don't know if I can take a +1 Earthquake. I'll try if I have to, but I need to scare him out and with a possible Stone Edge. But I actually go for the Ice Beam here just in case he decides to stay in, and I take whatever move he wants to go for. As he goes into his Congo, which is his Tangrowth, and this thing gets knocked straight out by that Ice Beam. So that's fantastic for me. I have to switch out here as he goes for the Volt Switch on my Laundromat. I'm basically sacking this thing off at this point because it doesn't want to take another D-Claw or anything from the Salamenced. So I go for the Volt Switch just in case he sets up a sub. I don't want to deal with that, but he goes for the D-Claw, knocks me out. He gets his Moxie boost, which is obviously Moxie because he didn't show Intimidate earlier. He goes into Titania on my T-Tar. He knows I'm Specs at this point, so I have to switch. I go out into my little Romeo as he predicts that and goes out into his Scizor. So he doesn't want me to set up more spikes, which is apparent, the way he's switching around on me. I need to set up more spikes. I need stealth rocks up. Toxic spikes, honestly, at this point, not a big deal. His Mega Audino's already wore down, I think, to what, 40%? About 40%. And everything else on his team is immune to toxic spikes. They're mostly there for the Tangrowth, but Tangrowth got knocked out really early, so it doesn't matter. So just spikes and stealth rocks. If I can get up 2 layers of spikes and stealth rocks, I'd feel so much better about this match. I'd be punishing so much, but I don't want to stay in here and take a hit. A U-turn would actually do a tremendous amount to me. I have to switch out as we go out to my Drapion. As he just goes for the knockoff there. So good play on his part. I could have definitely taken that knockoff and put up another layer of spikes. So he actually goes for the defog here, so kind of glad I didn't take the knockoff, to be honest. But we're going to keep knocking off here because it's the best move I have to hit him with, as he U-turns out into his Ments. And I have to keep staying here and go for knockoffs. I can't let him set up subs freely. He's going to D-dance here. I'm going to go ahead and go for another knockoff. And he's low enough to the point where I might be able to wear him down with sand because we get rid of his leftovers. So that's good for me. I have to stay in here. I don't want him setting up free subs. It's really a problem. I go into my Godzilla here. I cannot take a +2 Earthquake. Absolutely not. As you see in the chat, I said I went for a Whirlwind to try and get him out of here. I reveal a Mold Breaker Drill, which is bad for me, because if it was Sand Rush, I actually could have potentially destroyed his entire team at this point. But that's fine. You know, you live and you learn. He's at +3. He goes for the EQ on my balloon. Obviously not going to do anything. He's just going to go for the D-Claw there and knock me out. Sand is not going to be enough here, guys. I realize that sand's not going to be enough. I'm doing the math. He's going to have 3% after sand, so I can't wear him out. He's faster than my entire team. I didn't bring a Scarf for this week, and he's just going to destroy me. So that's that. He just 6-0s me straight up with Salamenced. I couldn't do anything about it. If I had prepped better, I probably could have done a lot about it, like bring Sand Rush Drill, to name something. Sand Rush Drill would have been my savior right there. I could have sent in my T-Tar, sacked my Roserade because it really wasn't doing anything for me, and then sent in my Drill and just killed this thing. But, you know, again, you live and you learn. I lost because I brought Mold Breaker Drill. I thought it would be a good idea, seeing that he had a Weezing and an Eel that are both Levitate and weak to ground if Levitate is not active. So I thought it was a good idea when I looked at his team. Now I realize it's never a good idea if you have the option to be Sand Rush. That's just very disappointing for me, to be honest. I was hoping it would do a lot more than it did. Specs T-Tar did exactly what I was hoping for it to do, but on a smaller level. And that's not really anything to do with T-Tar being bad. It's more or less the rest of my team not being prepped to take on his team. Salamenced just ran roughshot over everything I had. Nothing I really could have done there in this battle. Some things could have been tweaked in the team builder, but obviously they weren't. So, you know, we dropped down to 3 and 5. That's fine. We have a couple rough matches coming up. I know I already said that in my team builder, but we have, I think, the number 2 and number 3 or 4 team. I don't know. The next 2 or 3 weeks we're going up against people who are pretty much the exact opposite record of us. So we're at 3 and 5. They're at least 5 and 3 at this point. So yeah, it's gonna be a couple of rough matches. If we pull out a couple of victories here and make it to 500, though, I think I'd be happy. My goal to finish the season is to be over 500. I believe if we were over 500, we have a good chance of making the playoffs. So hopefully the 5th loss is the last one we get. I realize that might be a little bit, you know, of wishful thinking, but if we prep correctly, if we actually take a second and think about it a bit more and make proper plays and matches, I think we'll be absolutely okay. This match wasn't bad for me. I didn't really make any wrong plays. I just got completely overwhelmed by the Salamenced. It got to a point where I had nothing for it. And once you have nothing for a threat as big as Salamenced, especially when its attack is seemingly doubling almost every turn because of Moxie and D-Dance, then you can't do anything. That's just all there is to it. So, good game by Beelzebud. Obviously, he's undefeated for a reason, and he used Salamenced perfectly. I couldn't touch it, and hopefully we'll change our fortunes next week. We're on the push for 500. After we hit 500, we'll be on the push for playoffs. After we make the playoffs, it's the push for the championship. Still have faith, guys. My name is Shoquafina. I'm out.